many questions as to how Thomas Matthew Crooks managed to do what he did. And today there was a hearing where the head of Secret Service was testifying, and we were hoping that we would get some answers to some of the questions that we had. I knew that we wouldn't get the answer to everything, but man, this hearing went horribly. I mean, I don't even understand what the point of the hearing was, because Kimberly didn't really answer any questions at all. And to be clear, I don't know if she can even answer half of those questions. Because if what I think actually happened at that rally happened, if this rabbit hole really runs as deep as I think it does, then it's clear that Kimberly is not the one calling the shots. The higher ups are the ones calling the shots. And yeah, the head of the Secret Service, she'll just be another scapegoat. She'll be another person they can place the blame on. But it's obvious that this is more than incompetence. This isn't just someone not doing their job. You could literally not be doing your job and still stop Thomas Matthew Crooks from doing what he did. That's just how big of a failure this is. But I hate using the words failure because, in my opinion, I don't think they necessarily failed at doing what they really set out on doing. I think Thomas Matthew Crooks failed, but I don't think the security there really failed, because I think the job that they were supposed to do is the job that they did, which is a job, basically. But it's become clear that if we really want answers, we're going to have to figure out those answers ourselves. We're going to have to come together and we're going to have to keep looking into this story. You know, the collective power of the internet, along with hopefully some politicians and some officials, we're going to have to come together and look for answers ourselves, because they're not going to give us the answers that we're looking for. Now, luckily, a politician, a former Navy SEAL sniper by the name of Eli Crane, he actually made it on site. He got to be on top of the building that Thomas Matthew Crooks was on today. And listen, the FBI security has been really tight. The security at this location has been tighter since the tragedy than it was when Donald Trump was actually there speaking. Now, what does that tell you? Now, the FBI has kicked out various congressmen, politicians, but we here on the internet, we have been putting them on blast for what they've been doing. So now I guess they feel the need to kind of dial back on the security and allow people to get a look for themselves. And the look that we get, it will blow your mind. And listen, I know we've all been looking at this story. We've all been talking about this story. But actually seeing video from on site, from on top of that roof, it just really puts things into perspective. Let's go ahead and check it out.
Well, not close. Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm up here on the building where the supposed sniper took his shot. It's not that steep at all. Just had a 70-year-old man back here climb up on the roof easily. See that water tower behind me? Had Secret Service or anybody had sniper teams up there, this guy wouldn't have made it 5 feet up this roof. He would have been taken out. Behind me, you see the windows that Secret Service was supposedly in the second floor of this building behind. Makes you wonder why they weren't able to quickly dispatch the individual. And then behind me, back over here where those red roofs are, that's where the stage was set up. That's where the president was giving his speech from. A lot of questions here in Butler, but we look forward to doing oversight and getting to the bottom of it and making sure it never happens again.
You know, I actually cannot believe that they tried to use the sloped roof as an excuse as to why they did not have snipers on that building. As you can see, everyone is up there with no problem. There's not much of a slope at all. But just seeing how close it is, seeing that clear view, it's like being in a deer house. I don't know how many of you all have ever hunted. But it's like being in a deer house, an elevated deer house in a tree or something, or a deer stand, looking down on a clear field, right? It's just an open, easy shot. It is just way too obvious. No one in their right mind. Listen, if I was out there working security, that would be the first location I would look at. And I'm not trained at all. I feel like anyone, you could go grab some of these Call of Duty players. They'll tell you right now, if this was a Call of Duty map, that would be the building they would be sniping from, okay? So you could go get gamers off the internet and they would tell you this location is a threat. But the craziest part is you see that building right next to that building. Law enforcement were supposedly in the second story of that building. And if I'm not mistaken, it really looks like they could have poked their head out the window and they could have seen Thomas Matthew Crooks and even taken him out from there. And then you have the water tower in the background. A lot of people are speculating that there was a second suspect, a second person on the water tower taking shots that day. Personally, I'm open to any possibility. I'm still looking into that possibility. But personally, I feel like if there was someone on that water tower, I feel like if there was a second suspect, I don't feel like Donald Trump would still be here today. I feel like if they had another trained assassin somewhere on a water tower or another location, I feel like they would have successfully taken Donald Trump out and they would have made sure they got the job done. But anything is obviously possible. I mean, a 20-year-old with no experience at all got this close to taking out the most likely future president of the United States and the former president of the United States. That close, folks. That close. So if that shows you anything is possible, right? That should show you. But that wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for the help of fine law enforcement, the help of the fine FBI, the good old folks over at the Secret Service. Without their help, Thomas Matthew Crooks would have never been able to pull this off at all, right? But yeah, it's just when you actually see, and listen, I've looked at tons of photos, I've seen drone footage, I've seen other footage, hours and hours of little clips, photos, you name it. Actually seeing just someone standing on that roof and showing you the different directions and the different viewpoints and vantage points, it really just, it's really mind-boggling. This story was already mind-boggling, but it makes things look so much worse to me. But for now, let me know what you think down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you ring that notification bell. And I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.